It's often said that there are 9 circles of hell. Each offers its own unique form of torment based on the sins committed by those sent to hell. But Dante was a liar. There was a 10th circle of hell. I know this because I lived it. Can you beat Fallout 4's Nuka World DLC without taking any damage? I played through the opening bit of Nuka World many months ago in my Commie Whacker Only video, so I had a solid idea of what I was getting myself into. To that end, I decided to go into it with the same character I used in my Far Harbor video for the sake of my sanity and to keep things consistent. The save I loaded was from before I started that DLC. I didn't want to be too overpowered going into it. Before journeying west to the Nuka Transit place, I killed Trudy and her son for a bit of extra supplies. This video is about the Nuka World, not my adventures in mediocrity or irrelevant nonsense, so I'll simply point out that I set my max health to 1, so that any damage of any kind kills me and automatically reloads my most recent save. I did that before going west. I point that out because I spent a solid 25 minutes fighting my way through a raider camp with 1 health, even though it realistically didn't even need to be at 1 since I hadn't started the DLC yet. Once that was done, I arrived at the entrance to Nuka World, and I knew that I'd made a terrible mistake when a Gunner Assaultron with a skeleton head next to its name sprinted towards me like a fucking freight train. Luckily, I came prepared. If you're gonna fight a train, bring a nuke. That's what I did. I had 2 shots and played it safe by reloading a save several times to get the shot right. I wanted to kill them, not toast their marshmallows with a portable version of the superior siege weapon. A few of them died in the explosion. The Assaultron didn't, and that bitch could bob and weave like nothing I'd ever seen before. I used jet and a submachine gun to annihilate it mere seconds before it would have melted me to death. More of the gunners survived the nuke than I would have thought. The sniper rifle I had, along with multiple sneak attacks, got the job done in the end. Even Commander Kaler, despite her weird name, fell before me. Inside the train station, I spoke to Harvey and convinced him to take a stim pack. He used that opportunity to remove the wool from my eye sockets. It was all a ruse. He'll get what's coming to him one day. The code he'd been saving for a rainy day allowed me to restore power to the monoray, and I got a warning from the game that Nuka World is intended for those level 30 or above. Mathematics tells us that me being level 11 is close enough to level 30. I pressed onward, rode into the amusement park, and was informed by a voice that I had to pass through the Gauntlet before dying. The plan was that the Gauntlet kills me. I'd been through this before. The last time, pain meant nothing. The power armor and stim packs I had let me brute force my way through the Gauntlet like a raging walrus. This time, that is not an option. I had to take it slow. The first wave of the death obstacle course consisted of a rectangular room with multiple turrets on both sides. I tried to pick off a few of them before they opened fire, but it didn't really work out. One of them belonged to God and refused to die. A few feet inside, they all woke up and shit got real. As I've explained in other videos, turrets are a problem when you can't take any damage. They're stupid accurate and fire quickly. You're effectively a roadkill squirrel that I took a picture of with my first camera if they see you. The upside is that they don't fire constantly. You've got a brief window of time when they stop firing that can be used to kill them in a few shots because I'm playing on very easy. Take it slow now, this ain't a race, Doc Mitchell says, and this segment is not too difficult. Next was the trap room. Tripwires and limited edition flamethrowers that certain people use for clickbaity 10-minute long videos because nobody's ever seen a flamethrower before, right? There's really no reason why I should have died at all in this part. Childhood trips to Traverse City taught me not to run into barbed wire, and the tripwires can be deactivated without any issue. The wooden floor that collapses wasn't any problem either. That one's just a mild inconvenience at worst though. The fall isn't enough to kill you. A little ways up ahead, I proved that looking both ways before crossing the street means nothing when the car parked on the street is rigged to explode as you take your first step. The 3 doors were the kind of thing that only kills you once. Grenades drop, and I foolishly thought hiding behind a door would shield me from their blast. Intense radiation blasted me in the next room. You might be thinking that radiation bad, and you're right, radiation bad. But only when you reach 1000 rads. It doesn't do damage until it kills you. It just lowers your maximum health. It's not damage in the same way that being beaten with a sock full of smaller socks is damage. Another turret room revealed itself. They can be momentarily shut down with a terminal, which gives you enough time to get past them without having to destroy them. A small maze filled with more tripwires and bathroom scales that shame you to death when you notice how fat you've gotten. Jesus, look at you. Disgusting. I shot at a gas leak to see if it would explode, which it did. A series of tunnels had mines hidden behind and under destroyed cars. If you're a pussy like me, you can just spam VATS and catch most of them before they explode. You're expected to fall into this pit and fight Mirelurks, but you can jump from pole to pole and open the door to avoid them, then die anyway, because you went back to fight them and missed a bunch of shots. A bunch more traps are densely packed into a small corridor area. Nothing too difficult. Then a slight inconvenience. This room is filled with poisonous gas that hurts you continuously until you escape. As you can imagine, when you can't take any damage whatsoever, this is an issue. You have to grab a key and unlock a door, but that takes more than the roughly 1 second you have inside the room before you die. Hell, you can't even reach the door you're supposed to go through without dying in the first place. This is impossible. There are no tricks. This isn't radiation damage, so it can't be halted with Rad-X or any other chems. There is only one way to proceed. When all else fails, look to the speedrunners, Tomato Anus specifically, for the answers. Unfortunately, this means that the last 30 minutes were a complete waste of time. To go forward, you must go back. I had to reload a save to before I arrived at Nuka World to get myself a set of power armor. There's a suit at the museum where I couldn't kill Preston because God hates fun. I only missed the jump from the church once. My appendix seemed to take most of the damage from the way my character keeled over. I entered the armor, snagged the minigun just in case, fast traveled to Lonely Chapel, and got dead by a radiation storm. I'm not entirely sure why that happened. Regardless, I fast traveled to a different area, returned to the transit center. Most of the gunners had already been killed. I reloaded the save after I wiped them out, found out that the power armor doesn't stop me from dying, which I should have known from the hundreds of comments telling me that I could still wear armor, since my health at 1 would still cause me to die. I went ahead and murdered Harvey immediately this time, traveled to Nuka World, and let the games begin. There is a glitch that can be performed with the power armor that lets you clip through walls. Enter third-person mode while in the power armor. Walk into your target wall. Look to the left as you exit the armor, and get back into the armor as quickly as possible. If done correctly, you'll be partially clipped through the armor itself, which will also clip you through the wall. The power armor prevented me from taking any fall damage, and I finally, after an hour and 47 minutes, arrived at the entrance to Nuka World. It took so much out of me to get here. I wasn't sure which ride to go on first or which exhibit to see first. I've always wanted to be torn apart by feral dogs. Seems like a really fun way to go. Really anything that involves more pain than you can even begin to comprehend is fine by me. I started with the Brad Burton Amphitheater and got a job from Mason, the most jacked face painter in the world. Rendezvous with his team and find a cache of weapons or something. Still not sure what to do, I resorted to the wiki. The man I was after was named Porter Gage, after the guy. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, he was at the Fizz Top Grill patio, towards the back of this area, near the Great Fizz Top Mountain. I entered the building, looked around a bit, and went to the patio. Because nothing can ever be easy, Gage wasn't there. While I had no idea what to do next, I was used to that. I was comforted by my own confusion. I eventually found myself inside the parlor, where I spoke to Mags about a job. Put a special collar on someone to recruit them for an afternoon of activities. Then I stopped by the market and shopped around for a bit. My waypoint had me travel out of Nuka World back to the Gauntlet, which I accidentally got myself stuck in again. Reloading a save fixed that, even if it did put me back a bit. I noticed, while hurting myself with my own confusion, that both of my new quests had the same icon. That was a problem. It was an error that also caused both of them to direct me back to the Gauntlet. After getting mauled by a giant cricket twice, I was back at square one. The bottle cap bitch was extraordinarily rude to me and gave me another quest that lacked an icon. But I had hope. I'd completed the Gauntlet before. I knew where to go and how it ended, where all scores are settled, at the bumper cars. Gage and Coulter were both there, waiting for the fight. Unfortunately, they are the abusive parents of this DLC. I can say hello, but they don't interact with me or even acknowledge my existence. When I got to the wall, Coulter woke up and came after me with his belt. Still though, I couldn't damage him at all. My bullets just went right through him. A fat man did nothing either. But I had a plan. I would need to trigger the fight. I went back outside Nuka World to grab my power armor and entered the bumper car arena once more for the final confrontation. I got shot a few times as I exited my power armor because at a certain distance Coulter wakes up. Several minutes later, I managed to clip myself through the wall and be where I was supposed to be. I had to clip through a second door, but the stars aligned. I picked up the Thirst Zapper, spoke to Gage, and went to face Coulter. Almost. Turns out that by clipping through the wall, the doorways become invisible walls. Not a problem, I just clipped through the walls again and the fight began. I had no time for bullshit. The squirt gun stunned the overboss, and Jet provided me with enough of an edge to retreat, pull out a fat man, and kill overboss Coulter. Everything was finally back on track. That was a lie. It wasn't. Coulter was dead, but I still couldn't speak to Porter Gage. Even after donning the overboss's armor, nothing worked. Clipping through the wall revealed that Porter was still between life and death. He existed, but could do nothing. So I went back to the drawing board. There is a failsafe, sort of. The tomato speedrun tactic was to kill the raider bosses. That's what I had to do. There are a few problems though. The first is that Fallout 4 is less forgiving about sneak attacks than Fallout 3 or New Vegas. If you stealth kill someone who's out in the open, everyone becomes hostile, so stealth attacks are almost worthless. I'm also about 17 levels lower than the game recommends, and my target in the parlor, William Black, is so unfathomably tough. Oh, and Red Eye, the guy who narrates as you go through the Gauntlet, didn't shut up after I left Kolakars. I had to turn down the voice volume because it got so annoying. Legend says he's still talking to this day. Anyway, I spent about 25 minutes in the parlor trying different tactics to kill everyone inside. I won't waste too much time on it because it was a colossal failure every single time. This was unlike anything I'd ever faced in a challenge before. It quickly became clear that at my current level, with my arsenal of weapons, I had no chance whatsoever. Jet and Psycho made no difference. My minigun was laughably ineffective. After I made up my mind about how I was going to proceed, I wanted to try something. A demonstration of sorts. It took 4 Fat Man shots to kill William Black. Admittedly, not all were direct hits, but they were still within several feet of him. That's what I was up against. I called it quits for the day. I needed time to mentally prepare for what I was about to do. I once again went back in time to before the DLC started. But this time, I reloaded a save after I beat Far Harbor. I was a higher level and had access to better weapons. It wasn't like I cheated and used console commands to spawn a bunch of different items. I played through Far Harbor and got all these the normal way. And the point isn't to beat Nuka World at level 1. Maybe one day, but not today. I also had to pick up power armor again because I'd be using the same glitch to skip the Gauntlet. I took out everyone guarding the transit center, offed Harvey, rode to Nuka World, brute forced my way through the wall, and arrived at Nuka World for the 3rd time. Or the 2nd time. Who gives a shit. Back at the parlor, I used every trick at my disposal, including exiting the power armor to theoretically block a path to me. That didn't really work. I got into position, blasted the life out of Lizzie with 24 bullets, and everyone came after me. Then I died. I tried blasting Willie with a missile launcher and died immediately. My legendary shotgun did jack shit to Lizzie. A sneak attack with a hunting rifle barely left a mark. Dozens of shots with a submachine gun did next to nothing. I left, picked up a bunch of stuff from the market, and returned. 7 mines were laid down at their feet, and I set them off with a grenade. Neither died. From the safety of a room at the end of the hall, I chucked grenades at my foes. They certainly did some damage, how much I couldn't say. I tried Jet, Psycho, and a missile launcher on them and it did practically nothing. The 50 caliber handgun I'd had a few shots for could kill a normal operator with a single shot, and do a not insignificant amount of damage to the bosses. But there were too many people shooting at me for it to be a viable option. Even a stealth boy failed to protect me from their attacks. Another idea was to set mines all over the place to do damage to everyone once the fighting started. I thought I found a viable strategy when I hid in the sleep room and bullseyed grenades off the doorframe and into those shooting at me on the other side of the wall. Even with everything I'd brought with me, the perks that boosted semi-automatic weapon damage, mines and grenades and missile launchers, it was impossible. So I went to check on one of the other bosses, Mason, pretty much the same as William. A stealth boy in VATS gave me an opportunity to do big damage, but he returned fire before I could kill him, and even if he didn't kill me, someone else would. I couldn't do it. Before giving up completely, there was one more thing I could try, similar to my last idea, just taken to the extreme. I time traveled to the Commonwealth one last time, this time to my last save before I beat Fallout 4 with legendary weapons. A level 26 character almost 10 hours into the game with a full supply of legendary weapons. The Institute had to be destroyed again, and for once, I actually had the chance to continue after the final cutscene. But unlike last time, I wasn't going to do this again. I pulled out all the stops in my preparations to wage war on the bosses of Nuka World. The first stop was Proctor Teagan's locked room, which was stocked with a fat man, mini nukes, a Gauss rifle, and a buttload of ammo. I accidentally triggered a Brotherhood of Steel Civil War when my hand slipped and I beat Teagan to death with a sledgehammer. Then I vaxxed myself out of his room and messed around with the power armor to try to install the jetpack I'd gotten from Captain Kells. The idea was that I could use it to fly somewhere safe before I instigated the assault on the bosses that are outside. I'm big stupid and couldn't figure it out. I stole the Fat Man and Mini Nuke from Cleo at Good Neighbor, and made one last stop at Bunker Hill to buy any relevant ammo that I could afford. The missile launcher made quick work of the gunners at the transit center. Even the Assaultron went down in a few shots. I did have to make sure to remove the Nerd Rage and Toughness perks before entering the DLC proper. But once that was done, I arrived at Nuka World for the final time. Whether I succeeded or failed was irrelevant. I wasn't doing this for a 5th or possibly even 4th time. I also wasn't going to waste time with things that might work. I started with William at the Parlor. He's indoors, which means he'll be the trickiest to deal with. I ditched my power armor because it could only slow me down, loaded myself with a jet and psycho, pulled out a Fat Man, blasted William with it, and before time could catch up with me, I was outside. It worked. He was dead. I had the right quest, and everyone in Nuka World was out to kill me. They were now red, but didn't actually attack me. I'm not sure why. My guess is that because I'm technically the overboss, even though Coulter is still alive, they just let me do whatever I want. Or it's a glitch that happens when you do things this way. Either way, I spent a little while killing as many operators and raiders as I could, both to get easy experience and to get a solid supply of 7.62 ammo, because the operator sniper rifle is a useful tool to have. Then, towards the back of the park, I found Nisha. She's about as tough as Willie, but she's out in the open, which works to my advantage. I was feeling pretty confident at this point, like when a 4th grader talks to a 3rd grader about the kind of math they're doing. You don't know what X is? Oh, that's right, I forgot. You're stupid. Don't worry, you'll grow out of it eventually. I tried a few different weapons out on Nisha. None of them really worked out very well, considering I died every time. After retreating a bit and using Jet, I blasted her with the operator rifle and finished her off with my explosive submachine gun. Now only one remained, Mason. I also got stuck in midair a few times immediately following Nisha's demise. Probably her bitch ghost or something. The second I opened the door to the amphitheater, I got eviscerated. Thankfully, I came prepared with 5 stealth boys. They didn't make me hidden, but they gave me enough protection that I wasn't assaulted immediately. I hoped to use the stealth boys and a silenced weapon to take out most of the goons near the entrance. It didn't work out very well, so I called all reliable and took the safe route. Jet and a fast man. Jet and a fat man. I killed Mason and left before they could do anything about it. With all the leaders killed, my tasks remaining were few. I tried speaking to Mackenzie in the market, but she pulled a porter and refused to acknowledge my existence. After killing the enemies in the area, I could speak to her and inform her that Nuka World now belonged to them. But there was one last thing that needed to be done. The power must flow to Nuka World. The power plant is far to the northwest, and the path to it is infested with formidable creatures. Compared to the bosses though, they were a complete joke. A Deathclaw went down in 2 shots from a Gauss rifle, and I arrived at the power plant. It took me more attempts and more time than it realistically should have to get through here. Feral ghouls were all over the place. Most could be killed in a single shot. The only issue was that I was using weapons I felt like using, not necessarily the most effective weapons I had on me. But I eventually made my way to the roof, pressed the button, restored power to Nuka World, watched the fireworks, and kinda beat Nuka World without taking any damage. And that's going to do it for this video about whether or not you can beat Fallout 4's Nuka World DLC without taking any damage. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything, leave a like. Leave a dislike if you didn't enjoy the video or didn't learn anything. Thanks to the Champion tier supporters as well as other channel members for making videos like this one possible. Join the Mitten Squad Discord server through a link in the video description. Follow me on Twitter, or don't, at Mitten Squad. My name is Paul of Mitten Squad. Have a wonderful day.